Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching True Blood, Season 1, Episode 11.
To love is to bury.
To love is to bury. Let's start with Bill. Okay,
we start with Bill.
Well, we did learn, I think, because Pam is monitoring Bill to make sure that he follows through on his punishment duty, whatnot. He was forced to turn Jessica into a vampire to make amends for killing Long Shadow, not Longfellow. And we did find that, we did find out that Eric is Pam's maker.
Yes, yeah.
I think there was an implication, but it's so weird because it's like Pam and Jessica are like guest stars
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And they become series regulars. And so it's kind of interesting. Jessica's.
This is the flavor of Jessica I'm not a fan of.
It watches differently a second time.
It watches differently with, 13 years in between watches, because I get it in a way now that I was just like, shut up and stop whining. But now I'm just sort of like, I get it. It makes sense.
She's being very girlish and very bratty.
I mean, I think, isn't she like 16?
I think
17?
Deborah was 23, but I think she was, and I think Deborah in a good way, not in a bad way, but I think she registers a little bit older.
Yeah.
But she's meant, we get, as I recall, we get Jessica that we know and love very quickly. I think it's by like episode 5 of season 2.
At most.
You think even quicker?
Even quicker, yeah.
Okay. Well, because they threaten us with like a goth vamp Jessica that doesn't land.
No.
It doesn't last either. Yeah. And I'm curious. I would love to find out if what was intentional.
Yeah.
Like if they really thought they were going to go that direction, or I don't know. I find it interesting.
Well, I think it's like we've talked about it with a handful of things, like most recently in an episode of Gossip Girl where we were like, this is the episode where they started writing for Chase Crawford. Mm-hmm. And it's like there is a moment where they start writing for Deborah Ann Wall, and it's not yet. This was, I think, something where they were like, well, we've got to do it like this. And then I think they got her and they were like, oh, we can do so much more.
I remember we were like, woof.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Why?
Because there are things you must learn.
Why?
Because you are no longer human.
Why?
Because as I've been trying to explain to you at length, you have been made vampire.
Gotta go.
I was like, if this is what it's going to be like, absolutely not. Anyway, this again was my first introduction to Deborah. And so I was very like, what are we doing here? Well, but again, like you said, it's so quickly. It's like her third episode where you're finally like, oh, no, it's cool. I get it.
I think they sort of, well, we'll get to it when we get to it, I guess. I guess we're just going to keep going. But sure. I want to watch season 2. I don't know how long haul I am for this, but I forgot how much I liked Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne's great.
Weird. Well, so to finish the Jessica stuff, I was going to say that I think there was a bit where I was sort of unsure if this is just what new vampires are like, and then they have to sort of like ground themselves. But I think it's because we meet other new vampires later, and I don't think they're quite as
well. And I do want to call out one specifically excellent part of her performance, which is it starts out very bratty, where Bill is just telling her things, and her entire dialogue for the scene is just asking why in increasingly bratty deliveries. And then he says something that's actually serious, and she changes on a dime, and she then says why again, but she's like, oh.
Why?
Because you were unlucky. Because life and death are unfair.
Like, why? Like a serious why. I don't know. It's very good.
It was interesting.
She's very good at her job.
So Tara is still on her downward spiral. She was in a ditch.
Yep.
We meet Kenya, who is kind of a character. I think I can't remember if I'm confusing her with one of the officers on Teen Wolf.
Well, I looked her up. She's in 18 episodes, so. And
Kenya doesn't have a lot of patience or sympathy for Tara and brings her in.
Yeah. It feels like they know each other too. Like they were friends.
I think they're cousins because I thought she said something to that effect.
Maybe.
I thought, but so she brings her in, makes her spend the night in jail. I forgot this plot with Letty Mae because I was a bit of a Letty Mae apologist, and I've got egg on my face right now.
So, I mean, she's still an interesting character, but like this is not the thing to do.
Honey, I'm not here to bail you out. You can't come home. I'm not gonna let you. You're changing right in front of my eyes, and I'm scared for both of us. I don't believe this.
Especially, you mean to tell me that Tara got that money for your exorcism, took you out there, watched it happen, and now you're like, well, I'm better and you're garbage, so get out of my house?
Everything she says makes sense to an extent, but it's not now.
Yeah.
If Tara pulls this stunt 3 more times or 2 more times, then she can.
Especially because Tara has the truth and nothing but the truth, where she's like, because Letty Mae is like, how many times did I spend the night down here and blah, 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 blah. And Tara was like, never. I always paid your bail and took you home.
So the issue that I have sometimes with shows like this and stuff is that sometimes I can't tell the difference between bad characterization or just characterization or bad writing. Because I'm like, is this just sloppy writing to get, or not sloppy, but
just perfunctory writing?
Yeah, is this writing to get to a place because they only have such amount of time to get to this place?
Yeah.
Or is this meant to say something about who Letty Mae is as a person? Because if it's that, then ugh.
Well, if it's that, then you real rich telling me the demon's gone.
Yeah.
That's like worse behavior than being an alcoholic, throwing your kid out on the street. I mean, I know Tara's an adult. She's grown.
But in a time of need, especially given the context of everything. And so, because there's in this scene, Tara's like, you don't love me and you never did. Yeah. And I don't know what to do with that. I'm like, is that true or is Tara acting out?
In this scene, I believe Tara's memory more than Letty Mae's.
Okay.
So I would believe that. I would believe that Letty Mae is just one of those people who like shouldn't have had kids, but that was what she was supposed to do, so she did.
So it's like, so what is your diagnosis of Letty Mae in that regard? Or I mean, is she
she's
a
kind
narcissist?
of a narcissist, yeah.
Okay.
Because all the problems are her problems, and now that Tara has a problem that she is desperately, acting out to try to get someone to be like, what do you need? This is the moment where Letty Mae is like, tough love. And it's like, that's not what she needs.
Because the whole, like, I am firmly a firm believer of I need to protect myself, even when you're dealing with family members and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't think we're at that place yet with Letty and Tara, where Letty's like, I can't let you compromise my sobriety or my, like...
Right, but again, at the same time...
It's like she's pulling that card, but it's too soon to pull that card.
It's way too soon for Letty Mae to pull that card, especially given how much Tara has cared for her in the past. And secondly, I think you can do one thing without doing the other. You can bail her out so she's not still in jail and still not let her come home.
She came down to tell her she wasn't going to do it. I don't know. I remember it now. I think I just sort of dismissed the scene. Yeah. I say frequently that just as a person, I'm a good compartmentalizer. So if something sticks out funny to me, especially in a narrative, sometimes I'll just ignore it in ways that other people will be like, throw that plot in the trash because I didn't like that one thing.
So in that sense, I do think that it's a little bit what you said, where it's like this scene happened in order for the Marianne stuff to make sense.
Without showing our hand too much, we need Tara at Marianne's because, and again, without showing our hand too much, Letty Mae does show up at Marianne's to take Tara home.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's one of the reasons why the character has confused me.
But if you think about it, Tara has alienated Sam. Tara has alienated Sookie. Those are her only two people, and Letty Mae is like a real fallback situation. And the fact that Letty Mae is like, you also can't come home, that makes it so that Tara can only go with Marianne, which again, you're right, we need that, but it is in agreeing with you, then it is sort of sloppy writing. It's just plot-based writing with no character work at all.
Because to put some of this, even though in this very specific moment, Tara's the one in need, to put some of this on her, when has she ever been able to rely on Letty Mae? Yeah. Why would now be?
Yeah.
I guess because she just went out on this limb.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think I didn't imagine spending this much time on this plot, but it confused me then and it confuses me now. I forgot that she had the quote unquote exorcism, went home, told Letty Mae.
Yeah.
And from what Letty knows, she then went to a party, got like blackout drunk and drove into a ditch. So maybe it is a little because Letty doesn't know about Miss Jeanette being in the. So I don't know.
But also, Tara's demon was not an alcoholic situation. It was her anger. So it's like a whole so there should have been no expectation on Letty Mae's end that Tara would stop drinking also.
Yeah, but but needing to be bailed out of jail.
Yeah, I mean,
the night that you were like, I'm fixed.
I think it's the next day, but still. So
Tara's the complicated character. I forgot how pretty Marianne is.
Michelle Forbes.
There's this, I love Marianne. There's a scene where, because she's a social worker,
She says kind of. Tara asks.
There are red flags.
Tara asks, are you like a social worker? And she says, sort of. She doesn't say.
They're not red, they're blush. There are blush flags everywhere.
She never claims to be a licensed social worker, is all I'm saying.
But there's a specific scene where Tara's like, you're not one of those Christians, are you? And she's like, no.
You're not a Jesus person, are you?
No.
And I was like,
that's almost
worse. Because I know how to deal with the Christians.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how to deal with just a rando doing good.
And you just kind of, sure, I'll join your cult, and you get by and then leave. Yeah. But I don't know, is weird. I do love. I loved her dealing with Andy Belfleur. Yeah. I forgot how terrible he is. So awful.
Get that car out of here. This is an official vehicle zone. Read the fucking sign.
Detective Belfleur, is it?
Move the car. Jesus Christ, you deaf? Surrounded by assholes and morons.
Oh boy.
We have Sam and Sookie are on this like quest to like a pie place because when she was attacked last night, she could see the attacker's memories, thoughts, and it was a memory thought of him killing this woman named Cindy who worked at a pie place.
It was like Big Patty's Pie House or something.
It's fine. It's not like riveting mystery solving. It's a little.
I'll say from the books, it's very sort of like you can kind of see the stuff coming. You can kind of see the solutions like happening.
So I don't remember when we figured what out because
I think it was when we see the facts.
But even I think I was still suspicious then. I think I was still like, so is this another red herring? I couldn't quite remember. But
I think you're right, because I think we went into the finale being like, surely not. No.
I kind of think that's how we did. Yeah. And so it's hard. It's hard to experience this plot again for the first time.
Yeah.
Because they find out that there was a man, what was his name, Dave or Drew?
It was the girl who was killed, Cindy. It was her brother. Drew was Cindy's brother.
And she was killed and he disappeared. And it's really sociopathic motives on it's Renee, who we know to be Renee. Mm-hmm. And I guess, should we wait till the next episode?
We can wait till the finale to, okay. I think we find out the whole breadth of the situation in the finale.
But I think it's just that he hates vampires.
Well, if I'm remembering correctly, it's because his sister was boning vampires.
Yeah.
And it's real gross patriarchal nonsense.
Which we did get breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But
I think that's right. I don't super remember.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. Fucking Amy. I remember being mind fucked by her. And it still is a little confusing. So the type of person I am,
you would be so taken under by her.
If you are pretty and nice, I am like, okay.
Yeah. It takes you a long time. It takes you a long time to pick up on the sociopathic tendencies of people.
Well, because multiple times he sort of unwittingly on his part, he backs her into a corner and she levels out. She's like, okay, yeah, totally.
You're totally right, of course.
And that would confuse me because she seems to be so reasonable.
But then she always takes it that extra step because it's like they are cleaning up Eddie because they killed Eddie last week and Jason sort of can't hack it. He's like vomiting into the pile of Eddie. And so they're cleaning everything up or whatever, and he takes all the rest of the V that they have taken from him and smashes it. And he's like, we're not fucking doing this anymore. This has gone too far.
His relationship with Eddie was so necessary. It did so much work because this season really establishes Jason as like a scumbag.
Yeah. But last episode, this episode, it's more of like they put really some depth on him for sure.
Well, and certainly potential.
Yeah.
It's like we see that he's capable of more than what he currently.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, even when you know, he gets home because he didn't want to come home and Amy's waiting for him.
Well, you didn't finish explaining when they were cleaning up Eddie, you started to say something.
Oh, well, he smashes all the V and she just is like, you know what? You're right. That's fine. Like, you know, it's that.
But it's after they have that where he calls her like a Yankee something and she calls him a dumb hillbilly
he calls her a Yankee bitch and she says stupid hillbilly or something. It's very redneck or something.
But then she gets like, and this is the part that confuses me is I'm like, it's already out.
Yeah.
We can already see the teeth. Mm-hmm. So for her to then be like, I'm sorry, we shouldn't do that. I got this, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. To me, that does register as growth or as sort of like, now that I've had a minute, I like, it does for me. It registers as that.
Yeah, but
where is it meant to be calculating?
Yeah, she's like, he will kick me out if I don't make amends. And like, but you know, she's potentially not ready to move on yet. And like, you know, she, again, is just sort of mooching off people. She's not, I mean, she's working at Merlotte's, but she just rolled into town and moved in with Jason.
She took over the way that they are talking. It's big love for the ages. And I'm like, 2 weeks, 3 tops.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's where I'm sort of like, and then to like up the manipulation, she has like saved 1 drop of the V for them to do like one last time as like a cosmic circle. And you're just
so wait, you don't buy that? You think this was just her trying to get him back in?
Yeah, I don't buy that for a single minute.
It's not about the symmetry.
I mean, maybe there's something in her brain that believes that, but she's just, everything about her watching it this time is so much more calculated than I remember from watching it, you know, 15 years ago. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
And so they do. And it has one of the most truly miserable looking scenes ever. And it's played as utter delight. But they're in black silk satin sheets.
Oh, just soaking wet.
And it's just pouring down what has to be cold water, cold rain. It's always
cold water on a film set. All I know about Hollywood is that they never use warm water.
And they're just like jumping, and I'm just imagining being in cold, wet sheets.
Satin sheets.
It's terrible. But then we do go into like the meadow and stuff, and his stupid little underwear.
Stupid little tidy whities. Jason needs a boxer brief.
No.
I need Ryan Quanten in a boxer brief. Let's do that.
He is just like stupid hot. It's really funny. And then someone comes in and strangles her
with their own belt, which feels like, bold. I mean, look, here's the thing. I know that the forensics team in Bonton, Louisiana, Reynard Parish, Louisiana is not top notch, but like they can trace things like that.
Yeah.
Like normally they can trace things like
that. They don't need to. They have Jason.
Andy Belfleur.
Like I said, I don't remember being such a Bud Dearborn stan because he is
being very reasonable. He just is sort of like, Andy, shut up and let him, like, and if you don't let him confess.
When Jason gets to the V part and he's just like, oh,
Jason,
boy, my boy, wow, oh.
Yeah. But Jason, this is the scene that I like the most so far. Like the scenes with Eddie and then this scene from Jason, because he's like, I don't know what happened. And Andy is like, I'll tell you what happened. Blah. And he like just barfs out this whole, you brought him to your king size bed and you fucked him and then you strangled him. And it's just like, again, they just think that.
Pitch perfect, by the way.
They think that Jason is playing this 3D chess in a way that he is so incapable of.
Well, because at this point, it's like he believes he is doing it.
Yeah, he's like,
you might as well lock me up.
I just don't remember. I don't remember doing it, but I must have. But I didn't. And, and then Andy is like, well, you hated them. You hated Maudette Pickens. And it's just like, and he's like,
because that's what Bud is like, he called us.
Yeah.
Like,
because he's like, because that's the thing.
It's like Bud sincerely wants to see where this goes.
Yeah. And I like so much that Bud is like, Jesus, Andy, will you just let him confess? Like, you can't do it for him. And so it's just the whole thing. He just is like, I didn't hate them. We had like a normal, fighting and having sex relationship that like I do with everybody. And it's just like a whole thing. I don't know. It's Andy. He gets better, but this is like.
He does, but it's strong.
He's just so, I think he wants to catch the person so bad that he like, it's like what happens kind of all the time. I mean, like, it even happens in Jaws, for crying out loud, where they catch a shark and they're like, done. And it's like, you have to catch the right one. Uh-huh. You have to catch the right murderer. You can't just catch the first suspicious person and call it a day.
So we didn't quite finish with Sam and Sookie. They're enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And fucking Sam, man, I'm trying so hard to be on his side. Like, I'm trying so hard to root for him, and he cannot get out of his own way.
Yeah.
He just nothing but dicks to trip on.
Well, neither can Bill. I am the whole time, not the whole time, but watching that scene with the three of them, Sam and Sookie and Bill, I just like, what has she got? Beer flavored nipples?
Mm-hmm.
What is happening? Everyone is, and I know what it is, obviously, but everyone is so obsessed with her to the point that like, she is making out with Sam at the end of this episode. They've had a nice day. She's into it. She's like having, Bill has abandoned her for going on days now. And she was in serious danger at the bar last week and he did not come back. And obviously she doesn't know what he was going through, but it's like every time previously that she was in danger, he was right there immediately. So it's like a whole thing. I get it. But
it's like Sam, there's like 3 moments where he has the upper hand.
Yeah.
But then he goes to one up it. And I'm like, Sam, just let it. Like,
but again, he goes on one up it in like a hello milady way where it's like, he just is like, well, this and I don't know. I can't even think of an actual example from the episode. It's sort of like, I mean, the breakfast thing where he like makes her eat and she's like, you're not the boss of me. And he was like, yeah, I am. Because he is her boss at work.
Or like they're actually connecting. Like they are actually genuinely connecting. And he has to be like, see, isn't this so much better than Bill? What do you even see in him? And it's like, why would you invoke Bill?
Why are you bringing that up?
Yeah, let it be.
She wasn't thinking about him for 1 minute. She was thinking about you. And then you brought him back into this scenario.
But also it frames his interest in her as a conquest.
Yeah, and
it's
as a
like,
one-upping.
As a rivalry.
Yeah,
and it's like
one-upping another man.
She's not, and that's one of the reasons why it's like I'm actually very passionate about the character of Sookie, even though she has peaks and valleys.
She makes mistakes.
But it's like she's not gonna fall for that shit.
Yeah.
And as evidenced by this episode, like
well, because that's the thing is like they are kissing on the couch and then Bill literally flies in a rage and starts beating up Sam. They start beating up each other.
I don't think that made any sense.
It made no sense. It was real stupid. But it gets to the point where...
Because do they even acknowledge, in the show, do they even acknowledge that Bill could feel her attack? Or was he overwhelmed
I think they have a conversation, but I don't know what...
Not yet.
Because that's why he pawns Jessica off on Eric, because he's like, I have things to do, and one of them is check on Sookie. So, I don't know, they start fist fighting, essentially, and that is the moment where, like, Sookie is sort of done with both of them again. Sam has totally also ruined the moment by fighting back, because she's like, so she kicks Bill out and revokes the invitation, and then Sam tries to touch her again, and she's like, no, what are you thinking? He has just so much audacity. It's ridiculous. You went on like a super fun caper and you still
it was especially the worst because we started this out by me being like, I like Sam because I think Sam Trammell's cute in this. And in this episode, you're like, he is really cute. And you were like, I think it was all the flannel that was putting me off because he's just wearing a t-shirt.
Plaid all the time, and he's just wearing a t-shirt in this episode. And I was like, oh yeah, no, he is super hot. Super hot, but not even a fuckboy. Hello, milady is the thing.
Yeah, none of my victors showed up for me in the ring today. All the people that I put but so Jessica's with Eric.
Yep.
Tara's with Marianne.
Lafayette went to threaten that senator because he was talking mad shit about vampires and gays.
He's so good. Like, I obviously remember liking him the first time.
Yeah.
But it's like, this show, there was a specific moment in this show where I looked at you and I was like, this is camp.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few people that is in total control of his character and his performance the entire time.
It's so incredible to watch.
The entire time.
Yeah.
Because almost every, there's maybe 2 or 3 other exceptions, but almost every other character at one point completely loses their footing.
Yeah.
But for a minute. You know what I mean?
I don't necessarily think it's the actor's fault. It's probably more writers or directors that like fuck them over, but they managed to, even because I remember Lafayette having some weird plot lines, but Nelson manages to nail it every time.
There's just like, there's just, anytime he's on screen, there's just this weird warmth.
Yeah.
There's this weird, warm confidence that I'm like, oh, thank God Lafayette's here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, we'll be okay. And
so, yeah, he like threatens the senator that he's been the Tuesday night senator. It's amazing.
You were like, he left work.
He was at work painting his nails. He left work. He went home, took off his makeup, took off his nail polish, put on a full suit, drove to this legislature building to threaten,
to shake hands with and take a picture with
a press photo so that there's proof they know each other.
So many things can happen to bring down a fine personage such as yourself. You might want to be careful, you hear?
Yes.
So fantastic.
So good.
And that is 3D chess. Lafayette is playing 3D chess.
And then we did get a little bit more details or growth in the Hoyt category because he can't go out because he has to drive his mother to a nighttime baby shower.
Because she's a night blind. Maxine. Love it.
So, all right. Well, that was episode 11, and we'll be back after episode 12.